Yep, that's the one. That is the one, isn't it? That's the one, Troops. That's the one we absolutely needed. How you doing, folks? How you doing, all you beautiful, gorgeous Rangers people out there, all you handsome, pretty, super skinny, super cuddly teddy bears. This is your, I wish I could swear, but it's a Sunday, Gersnet immediate post-match reaction pod, coming to you in association with our very good friends at Forest Precision Engineering. My name, I think, is Alec Anderson. I wouldn't quote me on that at this point in time, and judging by all the blue shutters and the Welsh red brick, I'm 65 to 70% sure this is Ibrox. But the one thing you know even better than me, and the one thing I know for certain, is that Rangers have just recovered from a goal down to beat Heart of Midlothian 2-1 in this afternoon's SPFL Premiership fixture. A win that we needed for so many reasons, both just practical in terms of points, but mostly spiritual. Just spiritual in terms of our morale, in terms of self-belief, in terms of momentum, in terms of finally having a manager that's going to last more than 10 months. Aye, that was absolutely mammoth. You'd be the same as me. It's one of those days today. You're just, it feels as if football means too much to you. Like, you need this too much. I mean, my job's a joke. I'm broke. My love life, it's not so much DOA. It's kind of at my age and weight. It's sometimes MIA. It feels like we're all stuck in second here, doesn't it? We're all stuck in second here. It has been our day. That very much has been our week now, but it hasn't been our month. It hasn't been our year. But finally, we've got somebody who's going to be there for you. Somebody who's going to be there for all of us. You'd be the same as me, folks, yesterday. If you're a Rangers supporter any older than 2 days, yesterday, 5 o'clock, you would have had the exact same reaction as myself, went through the exact same mental and emotional processes. I'm not saying, that you would have been putting Morrison's chicken in your oven at 5 o'clock, the same as myself, but as soon as I got it in there, I thought, I just want to know what kind of night I'm going to be settling down to. So I got the phone out onto the BBC Sports app. I did that thing where just as soon as I formed the phrase, and you did this as well, as soon as I formed the phrase, "Oh, you beauty, they've dropped points," catches in your throat, and you just end up thinking to yourself, they've dropped points, so that means we can totally arse it up tomorrow. We can totally fail to respond to the gauntlet that's implicitly thrown down when the leaders in a title race slip up the day before their main challengers are playing. We can basically do what we've been doing for the last 2.5 years and chuck this, and therefore give Celtic such a massive boost that we can never really recover from it. But you can't help it. The hope springs eternal. It's a hope that kills you when it comes to the football. So you get in a wee bit of a good mood. And last night, I'm off the drink. I was off the drink this weekend. I've got to seize the chance when I can. Rangers not playing, and I was on holiday a few weeks ago. Absolutely, I've got an engagement plan in a couple of weeks. I need to take the chance to get off it when I get anyway. But you still getting a wee tap of the feet was gone. I'm still feeling a wee bit funky. A Saturday night, and I started to get my boogie on. And don't worry, that's not a euphemism. And I thought I'll have some tunes, please, while I'm cutting the tatties and all that. And I'm thinking, what can I have? And I just felt the need to put on Robin S. "Show Me Love." If you're any younger than 50, you'll not remember that tune, But I was just thinking, it's because it's a banging tune, and I was in the mood to kind of boogie. And it was only when I started singing along with the lyrics that I know so well, but I never. It's like heartbreaks and promises. I've had more than my share. I'm tired of giving my love and getting nowhere. Don't you promise me the world. All that I've already heard. It was just like this time around from you, baby. Actions speak louder than words. And I'm thinking, Page and Dr. Freud, the reason I put this tune on wasn't for the tune itself, it was the lyrics. I'm saying to Mr. Clement, I'm saying to our new manager, don't let us down, mate. Don't do this to me. I need somebody I can rely on. And you guys, in your own particular way, would all be exactly the same. It was a big, massive holding of the breath from the final whistle at Easter Road yesterday, where Celtic drew 0-0 with Hibs to 9 minutes of injury time today. The 99th minute, after number 99 had scored the winning goal. Oh God, it was absolutely energy sapping. It was worth it. We needed that, not just in the immediate sense of we needed 3 points because Rangers just need to win. We needed it to happen that way. We didn't just need to be putting pressure on Celtic and ensuring we maintain any kind of get momentum going in terms of a title race, but we needed it to come in a way that just let us take all the bad vibes of certainly the last 2.5 years, many people would say of the last 11 years, and just bin them. Obviously, I'm here at the back of the Brimlin, and there's lots of guys, a lot of workers, obviously at Ibrox, and there a lot of bins going about just now. And I'm thinking, yeah, that is symbolic, all right. There's and the way it happened today, Chris, there's a Shakespeare season. According to, I was flicking through the channels last night, there's a Shakespeare season coming up, I think, on BBC Two, and the Stratford-upon-Avon bard himself could not have penned anything more dramatic, anything more kind of symbolic, and certainly anything more kind of theatrical. It was a pure lovey fest the way it happened today. I mean, when your captain, has got to take a penalty in the last kick of the ball, in the 90 minutes, just approaching full time, after having missed a penalty in the stroke of half time that would have drawn his level. I'm pretty sure Tav's shoulders actually slumped at the thought of having to take that penalty. His career, his captaincy, certainly his career, probably in the eyes of many of his haters, and there's so many Tav haters, I don't understand it, in the Rangers crowd. It was all up for grabs. The whole thing was up for grabs. It seemed like if I miss this, that's it, I'm done. And he puts it away, but we'd already had Nicholas Raskin going off on a stretcher. Todd Cantwell's fitness isn't up to scratch yet. You've got a guy who, a lot of Rangers supporters think we should have signed in the summer instead of Dessers. Shankland giving Hearts the lead after like 4 minutes, and we're struggling the whole game, and yet somehow we dug this out and we end up with a goal getting scored at 3 minutes injury time, and then we're lamenting the fact there's 9 minutes of injury time because we still think Hearts could go up the park and equalise, not because of anything they did in the second half that intimated they were going to do that. It's just the way things have been going with Rangers in general over the last 2.5 years. Certainly. League title winning teams, they do two things, don't they? Any league title winning teams do two things. They play badly and they win, and they take chances when they're offered them. They take chances to gain ground on anybody who gets ahead of them in that league title race, and we've done both this weekend. But I think the way we did it was all about, as I say, it's all about everything since 2012 probably. It was just something we've signally and singularly failed to do with any degree of regularity over the past decade, and it was absolutely lovely to see. There's Rangers fans I know, you see it in social media, I talk to them as well, who feel as if the way we won the league in 2020, 2021 almost didn't count because Celtic kind of collapsed. I mean, we made them collapse. We still took care of business to record-breaking levels, but there's still that thing of we got a head of steam up and we never really relented. I think in terms of the long-term health of the club and belief that we're going to keep fielding title-winning teams needs to see something like happened today. We need to see it start retaining titles, but we need to see it done the way we started doing it today. There's absolutely nothing proven. There's no leagues won today, but I think we could have pretty much given up if we hadn't. And our new manager, for him to have been basically seen to be throwing Celtic back a lifeline, or throwing away our own lifeline with the 8th day of his kind of first competitive week in charge of Rangers. It would have been just unfair. We don't need any doubts about the new manager at this stage because he's a new manager. We need all guns blazing. We need a sense of momentum, and he dug that out today. Philippe Clement, I feel as if it was down to him because it was, the squad is so threadbare. Hearts, they've had a week off. They've had a lot to prove today because they take a 4-1 scalping off Celtic at Tynecastle last weekend. We have been to Prague and put in an absolutely mammoth energy-sapping performance in the Czech capital against a really decent Sparta Prague side to gain a point. We cuffed Hibs last weekend, and I think it was just as well that we got the 4-0 win. A lot of people saying that was down to Hibs we cuffed last weekend. A lot of people say that was down to Hibs playing so poorly, but they seem to hold the champions yesterday. And the thing is, Europe's such a massive factor. I was thinking two other things I thought about last night straight away. Not just the fact that we're playing Hearts at Hampden 7 days after we play them in the league, as we did either side of our appearance in a European final in 2022, and we won the game. We won the game at Tynecastle with our reserve team with a bunch of kids, and we then beat them by the same margin the following week at Hampden with our first team in the Scottish Cup final. And you're thinking, if we get beat off Hearts today, does that give them the edge next Sunday at Hampden when we need this League Cup like we've never needed a League Cup before in our history? But most of all, I was thinking about when we beat Borussia Dortmund. When we did then the 2 games against them, obviously a different time of the season, like kind of early February, and there was mammoth UEFA Cup ties against Borussia Dortmund last year. the effort that we put in winning the Westfalen. We go out at Ibrox the following Sunday, and we're 2-0 up against Motherwell at half-time, I think it was, and we end up chucking it and drawing 2 each. And this is after Celtic had drawn. I'm sure it was 0-0. Was it 0-0? They'd definitely drawn at Easter Road anyway, and it was the earlier fixture that day on the Sunday, but it's still Celtic go first, and they slip up against Hibs at Easter Road, and we just failed to take advantage. And this time we did it. It was the same scenario today, and this time we did it. And I even found myself thinking, once it got kind of halfway through the second half and you realised we were putting the pressure on them and Hearts weren't threatening in any way like they did in the first half, you're thinking this could be set up. Even if we equalise, even if we maintain the same points differential, like Philip Clement isn't actually taking us backwards in the title race in his first week in the job, well, that'll be an improvement on being up and being 2 up and then chucking it against Motherwell, we did in February last year. Also, after the second leg against Dortmund at Ibrox, we went up to Tannadice and there was a couple of dodgy decisions, but we drew 1 each. We couldn't quite get that second goal, and it's just that little jewel of energy that's taken out you by these European games has cost us, and it meant we've failed to take advantage of any Celtic slip-ups, because they've been chucking it in Europe, let's be honest. They've been chucking it in Europe for a couple of seasons now, but they put in a mammoth effort against Atletico Madrid. Getting a draw off Atletico Madrid, even if they do have 10 men, requires a hell of an effort, and that's cost them yesterday. So we've got to take advantage, especially when Celtic could end up bottom of their Champions League group. And I'm only talking about Celtic so much because they are the team we've got to get past to win the league, which is their number one aim this season. Even if they end up bottom of that Champions League group, that means they're free. they're free to concentrate the domestic stuff. While it's much more likely for us that we're going to end up at least finishing third in this group and progressing after Christmas again in Europe. So if there's any chance to gain ground on them just now while they're in Europe, then we really need to take it. Today, the team, there was one change from the team in midweek, and that was Ridvan Yilmaz coming in because, Michael Beale quite rightly was saving him for domestic games. So that meant the continuing relegation of Scott Wright to the bench because of Todd Cantwell's kind of slow comeback from injury. And I think we're in a 4-2-3-1, and Todd Cantwell was out in the right. It seemed to me anyway, he was kind of the wide right player in that front three, with Sam Lammers sitting in the 10. He was closer to Sima anyway in the left hand side for most of the game, behind Dessers. And say what you want about the perceived ability or lack thereof of Dessers and Lammers, but they have put in some shift. They've had to play some amount of games. The manager's not doing the heavy rotation. I don't think he trusts what he's got in reserve, and you can't blame him because the squad is so thin, and that makes it all the sweeter that we've managed to get through this with a victory and actually gaining points in the title race, or turning it into something that could be a title race. We sidebar, that's the whole thing. I'm coming away here thinking, that's we got up to Dundee, we got up to Dens Park during the week, and that's us just completing the kind of first rotation of league fixtures. That's us just a quarter of the way through the season, so and that's us 5 points behind, plenty to play for. Whereas if it gone differently today, you'd be thinking, Christ, that's us 7 or 8 points behind, and there's still 3 quarters of the season to go for them to stretch it even further. This could be embarrassing. It's amazing how a change in a game like that towards the end today changes your whole outlook in life. Hearts started just normally as far as I was concerned, but we're obviously sluggish, and next thing you know, there's a ball to the kind of back post area, just the back corner of the 6-yard box, and Lawrence Shankland, who caught the eye of our manager certainly knew all about him on his travels. Lawrence Shankland, I think he played in Belgium, and you just wish that Ben Davis had managed to pay as much attention to Lawrence Shankland, or whoever it was. I can't really remember the details, I just remember him in acres of space, and a good finish still, nodding it across Jack Butland into the far side of the net. So that was it. We're a goal down after 5 minutes, and there's no sense in this game of that's fine, that'll wake them up. You're thinking, I don't know if they've got it in their legs to wake up, because Connor Goldson was getting a real ropey time off the number 77, I can't remember the Hearts player, it was kind of coming up and joining Shankland up front. You feel that Hearts had big spells of pressure in that first half, but it wasn't that they had the ball and we had to kind of camp in our box. It was they weren't letting us come out the box, and we were getting ropey in possession at the back. They were shutting us down, and there was one particularly bad pass back from Connor Goldson that Jack Butland couldn't even get to, but luckily went past the post. You're thinking that's going to be an OG, and it was the way things are going. We started this thing, I don't know if it was a tactic, I don't know if Todd Cantwell and Seymour were supposed to be ghosting in at the back post, but our fullbacks had caught this kind of overly long crossing disease. We seem to put in a hell of a lot of balls the whole game today, just going right across the Hearts 6-yard box and to nobody. Back post, just going out for a by kicker, actually going out for a shy at the other side sometimes. I think there was one occasion where, in the worst possible way, not in the good old days under Steven Gerrard in the 55 season, of James Tavernier and Borna Barisic crossing to each other for goals, but it was like Tavs getting the ball after a Ridvan cross because it had just gone so far away from anybody in a blue shirt that it had just gone right across the goal, right across the width of the pitch. But Hearts, I say, they were looking really good in the first half. We were looking pretty shaky. Nothing was happening. I always like to do that kind of. There was 1 minute that one incident that summed up. It makes you seem kind of clever. Well, as clever as I could ever seem. It's disingenuous, but there was one moment I noted where I think it was about the 33rd minute, and we'd had another terrible time at the back. Hearts making us look really wobbly at the back, but the ball went to Butland. He picks it up and he rolls it straight out to Yilmaz, who was in space, and he's pushing up the left hand side, and the man who worked himself into the ground the other night, Seema, isn't even looking. He isn't even turning round. It reminded me of my days at five-a-sides when I'm so fat, lazy and useless that the only thing I could contribute was telling everybody to watch the ball, turn and face it, face the ball. That's a basic. You don't have to be that fast or that fit if you're just sharp. You sometimes catch at the opposition just by paying attention to the game, and it was like the heads are down. People weren't even looking at Yilmaz. They weren't waiting to take the ball. They weren't ready to take the ball, and I thought, this is bad. We are definitely in a serious funk. And there's two ways it goes in Europe. Your team are absolutely exhausted. That was games after European performances midweek. Your team are exhausted if you field the same team as we did today, or you put out the reserves and they're not up to it. They don't have the same flow going to them. It's a really dangerous situation to be in, particularly when you're already, as we started the day, 8 points behind in the title race. And you're thinking, we're not responding. I remember, for example, when we beat Rapid Vienna 3-1, our first group stage match in Europe, at home for a decade after, or not was a decade, but since 2012, it was an emotional, symbolic night at Ibrox. We beat them 3-1. It was fantastic Thursday night, and then we came to play Hearts at Ibrox on the Sunday, and we were 3-0 up in half an hour, and did nothing for the entire second half because we didn't have to. So you get your business done early in these games if you possibly can before you start wilting. Rangers did the opposite today, and that's what makes it so encouraging in terms of belief in this team, and it will increase the belief of the players themselves, if as well as the belief that support have got in them. I thought it were absolutely fantastic. Sorry, I thought it were absolutely terrible, but I think it's an absolutely fantastic situation to have come through that with the 3 points, and the fact that we were terrible is the entire point of it. We get the penalty right in the stroke of half time. It was Yilmaz. No, it was Sam Lammers got the ball out in the left. And I know Sam Lammers is a bit of a target for people. He can't shoot. He just cannot shoot at all. And I think he backed out. I think of one tackle today. But he's always making himself available. He's always covering the ground. He's always trying to maintain the shape. I know that's not enough in itself, but in a similar vein, I think that's why John Lundstram absolutely deserved man of the match. I did notice before we equalised that John Lundstram, although as untidy as everybody else at times and taking a few bad touches, playing us into trouble, and forward passes not coming off, it wasn't the hiding John Lundstram that we think we've seen. You can't see him if he's hiding. Anyway, he's putting himself about. He's up for it. He was trying his heart out, and that's major. Maybe it's still in the days of new manager bounce. As I say, it's nothing's proven, but you could see that he was trying to get it going all the time, and that's an important thing when you're up against it. It's not going well to know that the players are still there. So Sam Lammers, he takes a ball, I think it was deep in his own half in the kind of left hand side, and it works up to Todd Cantwell, and Cantwell cuts across the box, gets fouled, penalty, goes to VAR, all that kind of ups the tension. Up goes Tav, super reliable from the spot, and I don't know if the keeper saved it or not. I'm too far away to tell. I need to see in the TV pictures. But it comes back off the post. I know it didn't go in, that's one thing for sure. And they get booed. They get booed in the tunnel at half time, which I thought was a bit much, but people are scared and they express it in different ways. We're all worried. Come out the second half, Danilo's on, Dessers is off, and that's fair enough. Everybody's quite happy with that, and everybody's cheering on Danilo, who's one of these guys. He's become better just by being not present a lot of the time this season through injury. He scored a cracking goal the last time he played for us, and So we plugged away. In the second half, Hearts weren't getting anywhere near our box. They weren't coming forward in any kind of threatening form. It was just all about our inability, as I say, to connect with crosses. And that we're starting to work a few moves round about the edge of the box. Wasn't happening. Hearts players were starting to go down. Looking for the referee to hold up the game, break up the flow, and it was working. But it ends up getting 9 minutes of injury time on the clock, and we get this penalty in the last minute. There's 89 minutes, maybe it's 88 minutes, I don't know, but it's round about the last kick of the ball. And a big drawn out thing, and everybody's saying, well, usually when they go to the referee's going to the screen, usually that means you're going to get a penalty, and folk round about me are saying, it doesn't mean we're going to score it though, doesn't mean we're going to score it. And you're thinking, this is building up already. Tav's career almost at Rangers is on the line, and when Beaton came out and pointed to the spot, I'm sure I saw Tav, to me, looked like he slumped, his shoulders went down, his head went down, and he was trudging up to that spot. I'm maybe just putting that on him because my heart as well is all over the place at this point. You tend to see things differently when your emotions will colour how you see things, but for me he didn't look like he wanted to take this penalty, and I'm thinking no blooming wonder, but he has to as the captain. But he's probably just getting his focus on, he's probably just getting himself in his little mindset, and he goes through his routine again, and in it goes. And the joint went mildly wild, and a lot of people who'd been walking out making a big deal of the fact that I'm out of here because I'm too good to associate with a team who'd very good, you're a Rangers supporter, you are. It's the same kind of mood at half time, by the way. See, when John Brown, I don't care if John Brown's is coming out to mow the lawn, never mind do the kind of half-time tombola draw. I don't care if John Brown's coming out to punch me in the face at half-time. You give him an absolutely rip-roaring round of applause. That guy is Rangers royalty, and everything that we thought we were lacking in the first half, he embodies. In fact, his wee chat with the tombola draw man at half-time was the most inspiring thing of the first kind of 48 minutes or so. Also, I think I have to say, if we're talking about off-field stuff, even though they weren't doing it for us, after everything we've been through with our away supporters this year, fair play to the Jambos, fair play to the travelling Jambos for the observation. Although we can rely on Hearts when it comes to respecting our armed services at this time of year, and the sacrifice made by people to keep our country safe, which I think, for all of an old lefty and stuff like that, is an absolutely invaluable service these people provide. And so it was good on the Jambos for totally respecting the minute silence we had, and a fantastic card display in the Sandy Jardine stand, lest we forget. But yeah, the penalty goes on from Tav, place goes mildly wild, and then it's just all about pushing forward. And the fact that Ross McCausland is on at this point, Cantwell's gone off, Raskin's gone off, but yeah, we just kept going. We took the bull by the horns. We responded to making a chance for ourselves rather than Celtic handing us a chance yesterday. And next thing you know, I don't even know who put the cross in. My mind was minced at this point. But there's Danilo, the masked man coming in to nod it into the back of the net, and I just remember the rain. That thing where the raindrops that I've gathered on the net come off. And it's just. It was gorgeous, and I didn't even cheer. I couldn't cheer. I was doing a little silly old man shuffle up and down the three seats, the aisle up to the aisle, because the three seats to the left of me, between me and the aisle, had been vacated by people who just decided, people that don't. It's not their usual season ticket seats. They're not season ticket seats. It's people who are just getting tickets for the day, but they were away, because it just wasn't good enough. So it gave me room to spread my wings and get another boogie on for the second time in the space of 24 hours. I was still, like most people around me, thinking that's 3 minutes of the 9 minutes of injury time. Hearts could still come back and ruin this for us. This could still be a different way of twisting the knife in the way that Rangers have done to us when it comes to gaining ground on Celtic over the past 2.5 years. But no, we held out and reasonably comfortably as well. And when the final whistle went, I was giving it loudly. It was all the larynx was getting coughed up. Onto the t-shirt, it was just fantastic, absolutely fantastic to get that win today, folks. And yeah, that's our manager. That's our manager in the space of 8 days. There was 2 home wins in the league, and a really solid European performance in between times, so it feels great. I'm off to Central Perk to get myself going again and think about our new manager, and I'm also going to tune in to, you should already have seen, if a couple of my very good friends from Gersnet, I think Rob and Doogie were between them, are trying to maybe do a wee video from inside Ibrox, so you might have seen that already. You'll definitely get to see at 9:30 on our main YouTube channel live tonight, the flagship show, and it's my very good friends Craig, Colin, and David. That's within basically 2 weeks of arriving. Philippe Clement has got us 2 points closer to Celtic. Could we be any more encouraged?